Eve. We welcome now Wes Jennings, a Gillespie Distinguished Scholar, Chair, and Professor of Criminal Justice and Legal Studies at the University of Mississippi School of Applied Sciences, Department of Criminal Justice and Legal Studies, faculty affiliate, and a whole bunch of other stuff in your title there, Wes. It's quite impressive. We're going to go ahead and get into the discussion. So let's start by our subject matter today is narrative intelligence. Please just describe for the audience exactly what is narrative intelligence.
Thank you, Gerard. I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show with you and engage with the audience. Narrative intelligence obviously has a lot of definitions. It means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But in terms of how we're describing it and defining it here, in regard to the National Center for Narrative Intelligence, is the idea of the intersection of human intelligence and artificial intelligence in the production of stories, essentially storytelling. And those stories have origins, they evolve over time, they change, they go down different paths, and ultimately those stories have implications for perceptions and behavior.
So in the old days, I think we call that a fishing tale. You started out with a 3-pound bass, right? And by the time the story made its way around the circles, it was like a 10-pound bass. So it just kept expanding. It's right. Similar. I think that's what we're talking about here. Is that things just kind of snowballs and picks up more information as it traverses all these various sources where this information is published.
Absolutely, and the idea. So the artificial intelligence side of it is in terms of using technology and today's kinds of tools to more efficiently and quickly gather the wealth of information that comes at us all the time from all different, from internet, from social media, from the news, the print media, all those kinds of things that we don't have the ability to digest ourselves and consume all that information to have more of a broader, what is everybody saying about the story to inform my own perception. We just don't have the time to read all that in any given point in time, right? So it's using artificial intelligence to pull that information and then to succinctly and quickly summarize that, so that way now you have a better finger on the pulse of maybe what the conversation is around any topic of interest.
So explain the use case and what the user experience would be for that, Wes. I think I understand the concept, which is to rapidly, using artificial intelligence, to rapidly gather, assemble all this information, filter through it, figure out what's fact, what's fiction, and then sort of present that and republish that in accordance with what is accurate and true. How does that work from a practical perspective?
Yeah, so like a specific example, think about it in terms of if you're a local police department and you want to know what the community perception of the police are, right? In terms of perceptions of legitimacy, public trust, and those kinds of things. The idea that, sure, you can go to any certain, method or venue for gathering information and get some quick answers. But again, it's going to be whatever's risen to the top, whatever's been, posted, reshared, retweeted the most, and depends on the source, who's purveying that information. The idea is that you can use AI to say, hey, let's get a snapshot of all the source level data of information that has been talked about among our, about our local police department in the last 30 days, for example, right? Then have AI go find all of that information, source level. I want to know what all the people in the city are saying about it and all the people in the state that have said about it. And then pull that information together from left, right, in between, everybody's information, and then synthesize that to say, hey, here's a couple paragraphs on what the current community of voices, at least, that are represented are saying about the police. And so now you have that information, that question answered more broadly in a really quick time, because that then has an implication. Okay, now I'm a police chief. Now I know what the community says about us. Again, doesn't matter necessarily what the reality of that is. What matters is that's the perception, right? And if the perception
Sure.
doesn't match what you as the police chief, obviously want to purvey, police community relations and crime is down, for example, when the perception of crime's going up, now you know how to counteract and counter narrative that message and push out the actual statistics or information through your public information officer to hopefully change perception of the police and or of the crime problem in your area.
So, Wes, great description there, great overview. Appreciate that. Is it fair to say that the alternative is you'd have humans that would be essentially researching this and having to consume all of this information and then cobble that together and try to make some assessment of what the prevailing narrative is, present that, in this case, to the chief, the manager, and then respond accordingly. We're talking about using AI, electronic tools, to essentially replace that human function, if you will, which is slow and burdensome and time-consuming and expensive. You got to have people to do it. We could use these electronic tools to very rapidly filter through, scrub all that data, make some assessment that would be essentially equivalent to the way a human would analyze it, and then actually generate a summary of that that's actionable.
You're absolutely correct, and yeah, the idea of when places are all places are under resourced, and of course in terms of efficiencies, but the idea of it's still the human, though, the subject matter expert, as
Sure.
SME, I refer to them, right, which is still
Yep.
really integral in the process of the production and synthesis of narrative intelligence. Because, for
Okay.
example, to your point, like if say you had 3 people you sent out on a task to find this information about crime in the area, those 3 individuals, without little direction, are going to go use the resources that they know. Someone might go to Google and pull the first 3 or 4 hits on Google. Some people might get to the second page of Google and bring the next page hits on Google. Some people might go right to Twitter X, or some people might go right to YouTube, right? All that information is going to bring different summaries and different synthesis. Not to mention that it's also biased in the sense that
Right.
those are algorithmically designed to feed you
By
what you've
people.
looked at in the past and what it thinks you want to know as an answer necessarily. Using
Yeah.
AI doesn't have a dog in the fight, right? It'll pull anything and everything from everywhere, and here's your synthesis. And again, that can be done rapidly and certainly more efficiently.
So what exactly are you doing there at the UM School for Narrative Intelligence? What are you creating, producing these tools, building the LLMs? What exactly are you guys doing?
We are doing essentially, we're a research center here at the university that's housed in the Office of Sponsored Research. So by design, it's an interdisciplinary research center. So we're engaging people in all the different areas, whether it be journalism, whether it be psychology, whether it be engineering, computer science, criminal justice. People from all the bright minds here on campus, and certainly other campus and institutions we're making connections with, to use some of these tools essentially as research methodologies, and to see what kind of production what they're useful for, because obviously there's a series of tools that do these kinds of things, right? And we're training students and interns on the application of these technological tools for narrative intelligence, and we're looking to see how we can have an impact on policy. We're working with partners in the government, the military, private industry, academia. It really touches, everybody.
Broad.
It's really a fascinating thing.
Yeah. Are there some plans, Wes, to possibly monetize or commercialize these tools, the production of these systems?
Yeah, there certainly is the potential. Obviously, private industry and vendors that we intend to be working with and making partnerships going forward have a different angle on it. But I think to your point, there is a potential to build out some kind of curriculum, right? That may be in short courses or webinars, or that could lead to the idea of badging, micro credentialing, those kinds of things that can educate the existing workforce and the future workforce. Workforce development is another large piece of what we intend to do with the center as well. To expand on that a little bit, the idea about when I mentioned sending out 3 people to go answer a question and then them all coming up with 3 different things depending on where they search. We see the idea currently and certainly in the future, you will need to have what we're referring to as prompt engineers.
Sure.
Actually training the workforce on how to look for the right information, how you write a prompt, how you order the words, the nature of the prompt, the description of the prompt, the keywords. All that stuff is going to matter and produce different results depending on how you ask those questions, right?
We got to go, but to your point, Google has got ads for prompt engineers. Their AI unit, Anthropic, $335,000 a year is what they're paying. Thanks, Wes. Appreciate it.
Not a bad gig.
Thank you,
sir.
Coming right back, folks.